Coby White popped off. John Mogbo popped off. The Lakers killed the Thunder. We got Onyeka Okongwu. We got big games all over the place on Sunday. Let's recap all 11 of them alongside the great Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I miss copper art. Pete Smith speaking. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Also, you want to go to lockedondaily.com? You probably should. You get over there, you hit the old subscribe, put your email in. It comes the best newsletter for your favorite team into your inbox 5 days a week, and you're double banging over here. On the audio and the video side, leave your comments. We've got a week to go. We're recapping all the games from Sunday. There are 11 of them, or there were 11 of them actually. In fact, by the time I'm recording this, there's some that have happened and some that are still going. And by the time we get to the end of this, who cares? They're done. Let's talk about National Beer Day, which is where we're sitting here. I don't have a beer. I've only got water because it's Monday morning, and I'm not that wrecked of a person that I'm drinking beers at 11. I mean, I would if there were no games on, but we're not there just yet. Let's talk about those games across the league. We're not going to get into necessarily much news because it's all sort of encapsulated inside the games. No need for waiver wire must-adds or drops or anything like that. It's all about just playing the matchups and playing the individual circumstances at this point in the season. So let's get into the first one. The early one was your Chicago Bulls and the Charlotte Hornets. The Bulls win at 131-117. The final score for Chicago, the only team that's not locked into a top 6 seed that's actually trying at this point in the season. They get the victory. They roll with the same starting lineup. Chicago, we had another big Coby White game, 37 with 6 threes, 5 assists, and 2 steals on 75% shooting. Jeez. Josh Giddey had 23, 10, and 8. That's a huge game from him as well. That's the first game, I think, in his last 6 that he's hit over 43% from the field. Remember, he had that incredible hot shooting streak, and then it tailed back off to be bad again. But this was a good game, and he is sort of settling in now to be that 40 to 50 guy rest of season, or 35 to 40 guy rest of season. And, all of my concerns with what this Bulls team is doing, playing teams that don't care as they're pushing into a situation where they're getting wins and providing value from their players, on a situation where numerous guys on their team are out, that it's going to lead to a lot of misevaluation of guys for next season, including those first 2 guys, White and Giddey. Vooch was just solid enough, 16, 11, and 4, 2 steals, and then we got an interesting development. It had been a lot of Matas Buzelis in these other games, but instead we got more Patrick Williams, because why wouldn't you get more Patrick Williams? 27 minutes, 15 points, 2 steals. That makes tons of sense to me. While Buzelis had 10 and 4 in his 24. I would still hold Buzelis, but we've seen this with William Donovan many times this season, that Buzelis will play these minutes and then just a random, hey, here's Julian Phillips, or let's go to the dud that is Patrick Williams. We've seen it. It happens many times. I would hold on to Buzelis at this stage, though. Not the best game from Pants. He had 13 points with 3 threes. It's fine. He did what you wanted. He hit some threes. He got some points, but that's who he is. 29 minutes for him, while Lonzo Ball, the 10 days ago questionable tag legend, still remains out, and I'm not really sure if he's coming back or how much he's going to play if he does come back at all. Shout out to Lying. What about the Hornets? What happened there? Well, Mark Williams did play, which surprised me. I did not expect him to play. He came back. He played 31 minutes. He did not hit her, but he replaced Yusuf Nurkic in the starting lineup. He had 22 and 9 with a steal and a block. After the fake false start trade and the concerns that he wasn't going to play again for the Hornets and he was going to sit out or protest or whatever, he's actually been really, really good down the stretch here. We also had a weird one here where Miles Bridges played, but he played 19 minutes. And that's one of the things that happens at this time of year where you just know that teams are going to be like, yeah, you're playing, but you're also not playing, and we don't need you out there. And that's why I didn't think we'd get anything from Mark Williams here. What do you do with Bridges? I think you hold at this point. We actually finally got a big pop game from the big fella, or the small fella, in fact, KJ Simpson. Kenneth Jr. had 18 points with 7 assists and 2 steals, and he's been in position to do this. We've seen a 30-minute starting point guard. It hasn't really popped off like that, and I don't think it's going to necessarily do that every game, but the opportunity is there. The role is there. There's going to be the other guys that don't play that much, so Simpson's worth looking at. They continue to start Josh Okogie and Seth Curry as they clearly plan for the future. Okogie had 7 points and Curry had 10 in his 18 minutes. Cool. Well, Nurk had 18 and 2 threes in 16 minutes. If Mark Williams does sit a game down the stretch, I think he probably will, we do look to stream Yusuf Nurkic. Tijan Salan's minutes continue to be good. His play does not. He was bad from the field and the line, but the 6 rebounds were there. There will be one game where we go, oh, that's really good from Tijan. Doesn't mean it's going to be all that often, or we need to roster him. We take flyers on it. We try it out. We see what happens. That's probably about it with him. And newly signed Jalen Sims played 12 minutes. We should go on to the next game. It'd be a good way to head through, because it was the Lakers who actually just cooked. They took care of business against the Thunder pretty comfortably in this game, which was interesting. I don't know how much it means as we're in the early April stage of the season. 126 LA, 99 for the Thunder. What we got was Rui Hachimura returning back into the starting lineup, which means that Dorian Finney-Smith moved to the bench. That's a pretty common thing. And the other pretty common thing that happens in these scenarios is that when Rui plays, Jaxson Hayes barely does. Hayes played 13 minutes and had 7 and 5. And if you haven't jacked off Jaxson Hayes, well, go ahead.
Get that garbage out of here.
Also, do the same to Rui, please.
Get that garbage out of here.
Hachimura had a stellar 11 and 7 with 2 threes and 1 assist. He is just not good enough for fantasy. Dorian Finney-Smith had a better game. He had that back-to-back where a lot of people streamed him in and he was absolutely brutal. But in this one, he had 14 and 7 with 4 threes in 30 minutes. Reeves was great, 20 points and 4 threes. Doncic was great, 30 and 7 with 6 assists and 2 steals. And LeBron was fine, 19, 3 and 7. LeBron continues to be great, clearly, because he's LeBron and he's 40 years old, but doesn't need to perform at that incredibly high level because Luka and Reeves have really picked up that slack. There's not many fantasy takeaways in LA. It's really just the Hachimura, Finney-Smith, Jaxson Hayes triumvirate that we pay attention to. On to the Oklahoma City Thunder side of this game. Well, my take on this team, on the Cavs team and the Celtics team, is that their rotation will not be fully intact for any game for the rest of this season. The Thunder got pretty close. Pig Williams was out in this game, and that's the only guy that was out. Some of the others, and this is what happens when they are fully intact, is that there's nothing to do. Like Aaron Wiggins had 4 points in 21 minutes. Please do not, for the love of God, think that Aaron Wiggins should be on a 10 or a 12 or honestly, a 14-man roster. It just shouldn't happen. Isaiah Joe, the same thing, 6 points and 2 threes. The Hong Kong Mattress, Carson Wallace. Now his minutes were fine, 28 minutes for Wallace. 8, 1 and 0 with 1 steal. He has been pretty good, but is he a must roster? No. If somebody is your second or third or actually worst player or even fourth worst player, honestly, when you're manipulating the schedule to get games in, they just move on from it. You don't need, he's 110th over the last week. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. If somebody can push to be the 60th best player, and you go, that's interesting, then I will hold through that. But a Wiggins, a Joe, a Wallace, a Caruso, a Dort, they're not worth it. Shea was pretty good, although, interestingly enough, not a single free throw did he take. He had 26, 3 and 9, a steal and a block, while the Bronco only played 28 minutes, 16 and 6 with 3 steals. Pretty good game outside of the shooting there for Jalen. But like I've said for a period of time here, his beginning of the season was great. When he was playing center for that period, he was awesome. And it sort of just eased off a little bit after that to be more of instead of a second round player, more of a fourth round sort of a guy from there on. Chet played only 24 minutes, Hartenstein only 24, actually both 25, and they were fine without being good in a game that was over relatively early as the Lakers just cooked them, basically. We've got 9 more games we're going to cover, including some big ones, some interesting rotation changes, some maybe developments on rest of season absences. We'll see about that. We'll get to that soon. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever check in on your bank account and just wonder where all the money went between dining out and online shopping and entertainment? Well, it can be easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So don't just manage your money, start building your wealth. It's the all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, all of your financial apps can be put into the same spot so you can see all of that stuff without having to log in and log out of multiple different spots. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. We are 2 games down, like I mentioned, so we might as well just get on to the third game now. These are all relatively early games in the day, and this one involved two teams sort of battling for one spot in the standings, and the Raptors get it done 120, and by get it done, I mean they sabotage themselves in terms of their lottery chances. Not that they were really going to move out of this spot. It would have been pretty difficult for them to jump through this position, but yeah, they're not going to do that, obviously. They get the win 120 to 109 against Brooklyn. Pretty much a lot of the usual changes here. We had Jamal Shed starting with Emmanuel quickly out, but instead of Orlando Robertson starting in place of Jakob Poeltl, we actually had John Mogbo slide across from the 4 to the 5. We had RJ Barrett back, and he moved into the starting lineup, or Jamison Battle moved to the bench, and then Ochai Agbaji also started. So a weird lineup. We'll talk about Mogbo first because his line is really good. 17, 11, and 7, 2 steals and 2 blocks. And there are a couple of things to look at here. There was no Poeltl. There was no Quickly, but also there was no Scott Barnes. Also, they were playing the Nets, who are bad and have given up numbers to big men all season. Also, Mogbo shot 89%. So literally everything that could have gone right for him in this game did. He played at center, more fantasy stats. He played against a bad team defending bigs, more fantasy stats. He played without the starting power forward and center on his own team there, more fantasy stats. He was great. Obviously, he is not this good every game. Although, in saying that, he's top 100 over the last 2 weeks in 27 minutes a night. And I really, really doubt that Barnes, again, they are a great breadcrumb team, the Raptors. They say things without saying them. And they were saying this before the last 2 games that Barnes sat out. They just lay the groundwork. They're just out there going, yeah, man, his hand, it's pretty sore. Can't really even dribble or shoot, But, I really respect the way he's pushing through. But, man, we're just going to have to have a chat about that, aren't we? Not really going very well, man. Yeah, geez, don't know what we can do. And he hasn't played since. Will he play again? I honestly don't think so. But I don't know. All I know is that he couldn't dribble. His hand was too sore. He couldn't shoot because he can't, but also because his hand was too sore. I'm going to be very surprised if Barnes plays. He might, but I'm very surprised. Shed would have been a great game here, except he shot 27%. But he had 9, 4, and 12 with 3 steals. But of course, Quickly will probably play in the next one. He'll play 22 minutes and it will annoy us. And I think that the fact that Orlando Robinson did not start with Poeltl out means you don't use him outside of streaming. Although, 11, 7, and 3 is fine. If he just had chipped in with a block or 2 there, you would have been pretty happy with that. Not much else going on here. Jacoby Walter, 18 minutes only. I didn't think that much about what he was doing necessitated that. He did have 3 fouls, but that third foul came at the end of his first stint in the third quarter, and then he just never returned. So he only ended up with 18 minutes, 8, 5, and 2 steals and a block. He'd been playing well. I don't mind holding on to Jacoby Walter. Cole Swider played 24 minutes. He hit 4 threes. That is what he does. 12 points with 8 rebounds. Very hard to trust the role every night. And the same goes with Roden and AJ Lawson and Jamison Battle. Although Battle's a pretty solid threat to hit threes. We had like a million players in this game. Not a million, but a lot. Get 2 steals. So for start, Shed got 3. But then John Mogbo got 2. Walter got 2. Agbaji got 2. Jamison Battle got 2. Jared Roden got 2. And AJ Lawson got 2. So yeah, the quality of ball handling and taking care of it from the Nets was not particularly high. So we had a lot of steals distributed around. So just be aware of that part of it before you start ascribing greatness to guys based on the steal numbers, because literally they'll just hand them out like candy in this one. Let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets side of the game. Because they're into that situation where, again, they haven't really done many tanky lineups all season, but they did here. Nick Claxton rested. That meant that Drew Timme started. D'Angelo Russell was out after playing 12 minutes the previous game. So the Vulture started. Reese Beekman. And then we also got Zaire Williams returning, and that meant that Maxwell Lewis went to the bench. Let's start with Beekman, who played 36 minutes. 14, 5, and 3 with 3 steals. That's a very good game. It's a very good game. I have absolutely no idea whether Claxton, and you'll notice that this was the one that they really did need to lose the Nets, but no Claxton, no Johnson, and no Russell. I don't know whether these guys return or not. In fact, I'm expecting they don't, especially Russell and Johnson, but I don't know. So I would be a little cautious about adding Beekman, but if we hear that Russell's out again, I would. The other guy who's consistently been able to put up fantasy numbers when he plays close to 30 is Tosan Ebwomwa. He played 25 minutes. He had 12 and 7 steal, block, and a 3, which is really good. If we knew he could play 30 minutes or close enough to it, but which we don't, I would grab him. But I don't know that, so I'm holding off. Maxi Lewis had 13 points. He had 2 blocks. He had 4 rebounds. It's not a bad game. It's a deeper league spot. While Timme had 13 and 7. He shot poorly. It's a deeper league spot for Timme. And I think that's probably about it. I don't think Sharp's coming back. I'm not sure about Clarkson, but that's going to enable opportunities for Drew, but is he good? Not really. We had another start from Trendon Watford, 13, 5 and 4, which is fine. The 7 of 10 from the line is very weird. And the Pimple Derek Whitehead had 13 with 3 threes. This is just going to be an annoying team because somebody by the name of Tyson Etienne, real player, Tyson Etienne played 32 minutes. He had 7 points only, but this is what they were doing. They were leaning into Tyson Etienne. Tyson Etienne, 32 minutes. While the Vulture played 36 as well. Now, their next game is against another team that they're probably going to want to make sure that they lose to, and that is the New Orleans Pelicans. Although, in saying that, I'm not really sure where Brooklyn's going from here. They are basically locked into 6. They're 2 games behind Philadelphia, and they are, 2.5 ahead of Toronto. And Toronto, I don't think Toronto's catching them there. So I think Brooklyn is going to lock in at number 6, and... well, again, they could catch Philly, but that would require Philadelphia losing at least twice. And in reality, that's just not going to happen, is it? They're not going to lose twice. I'm fairly certain they're not going to do that. All right, we should move on to the next up game here, the 4th game of the day. We're talking San Antonio Spurs and the Portland Trail Blazers, another game that these teams would have wanted to lose, but the Blazers get it done, 120-109. The Spurs now 1.5 games clear of the Blazers. They're not catching Toronto. Toronto is locking in at 7. San Antonio is probably locking in at 8 here. And now Portland's got to be cautious that Phoenix doesn't lose out and they jump ahead of them, or Miami, or Chicago, because they're only 1.5 there. So Portland's sitting in the middle there at number 9 with a 1.5 gap on either side. And they got this win here. For the Spurs, no Jeremy Sohan. I do not believe that Sohan is returning this season. What we got, though, was another game, another fantastic game, another cameo from the pencil. Harrison Barnes. Barnesy! I don't want to tell you to add him. I don't. He had 17 and 7 with 2 threes, but, that's good enough. He played 33 minutes. He did need to shoot 67% to get there, and that's not a realistic number. But they are giving him minutes, and that's what you need. Vassell continues some nice late season stat padding. 21 and 7 with 3 steals, and Steph Castle also a very, very similar game. 22, 7 and 5 on subpar percentages, which is what he does. He is an absolute lock to win Rookie of the Year, and I tweeted this out today. I don't care who wins Rookie of the Year this season that much, but I think it means absolutely nothing in terms of the prospects of this class or any of these players. It is a weird race where, honestly, if you ever had the ability to just not give an award, you would. That's what I would. I'd be like, no, thank you. It's the best, but every player I go, yeah, but also no. Is Castle deserving? I don't know. I am going to sit down and look at that, but he is, I guarantee you, Steph Castle's going to win this award. Chris Paul played 29 minutes. This guy is going for all 82 amazingly. 8 points with 9 assists there. Biyombo had 20 minutes in a start. He blocked a shot. He had 4 boards. That's a desperation, deeper league sort of stream. And the horse, remember that little run Keldon Johnson was on? Maybe, absolutely not. He remains bad. He had 2 points in 21 minutes, while Champagny had 7 with 2 threes. And unless guys are out, we're not looking at them. We also got a random 23-minute appearance from the Malacca. Malachi Branham, he had 17 with 3 threes. He's barely been playing, and there was no one extra that was out in this game. It was just Sohan, Fox, and Wemby. So I don't really know where that one came from. I wouldn't be overreacting to it realistically at all, unless the Spurs decided, hey, we're going to play our guys, but maybe if we just sneak in one of our worst players, that'll help us lose. It didn't. Maybe it did, sorry. It did help them. They lost. There you go. Blazers. No Anthony Simons, no Jeremy Grant, no Scoot Henderson, and I thought we wouldn't get Tamani Kamara, but instead they decided to pull their biggest ace out. Denny Avdia was done in this one. Avdia, who sat out the end of the last game as well to try and preserve a loss, sat out this one too, and now they play Utah on Wednesday. Now, it seems unlikely that Portland is moving from this spot, but I would be very surprised if Scoot or Simons or the perpetually doubtful Jeremy Grant is going to play. The question mark will be Avdia. I think he probably does sit the final, at least this game on Wednesday, and then we'll see what they do Friday, Sunday. But that's obviously a guess. I don't know. They haven't said anything about that out loud. Don Clingan, just the 37 minutes. I'd say that his run continues to be passable. 10 and 8, 2 steals and 3 blocks. Kamara returned for an absolute monster. He shot a lot. He shot 50%. He had 23 and 10 with 4 threes. And Chris Murray also had one of his better games. But I honestly how do I pay any attention to this stuff? 18 and 5 for Murray, and another huge volume game from Shaedon Sharpe. 21, 10 and 6, 29% from the field stinks. 82 from the line is great, but it's another one of these games, like Avdia, like Giddey, that they're doing it on complete half-assed teams where they're getting a role which there's absolutely nothing to do with the roles that they will have in the future. And that is always, these guys, like Giddey was playing 26 minutes on the full team. Avdia was benched. Shaedon Sharpe was benched. They were not, when the season was real and more teams were competing and they were running real lineups, these guys were benched. But now, like, have they improved or have just other guys stepped out of the way? I don't know. You can be the judge. Well, I'll also be a judge of that, but you make up your own call in the end. Thibault started again. He had 6 points. And then the king of inefficiency, Portland's Taylor Horton-Tucker, Delano Banton, had 20 points. He had 6 assists. He played 32 minutes. He was bad from the field. He was bad from the line. This is what the man does. He will rack up counting stats as long as Denny or Simons and Grant and Scoot are out. At least 3 of those 4 have got to be out. And then we use Banton. But there's a pretty real chance that those guys will be out. So he's got to be on our radar as somebody to use. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the absolute barn burner that was the Utah Jazz and the Hawks, plus the rest of the games from the day. Give out lines of the night later on as well. But today's episode, it is brought to you by FanDuel. With the NBA playoffs almost here, FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on that action. So now, if you are a new customer to FanDuel, you can bet your first $5 bet. You can win your first $5 bet, and if you do win that, you get $200 in bonus bets. It makes betting easy. It might be just picking teams and straight ups and totals and spreads, or it might be picking individual player props, 3-pointers or steals, points, rebounds, assists. Choose the over or the under. Choose the multiples they have there. Hey, 2+3s, 3+3s, 4+3s. All that is there. Plus, once the game tips off, you can even combine live game props into a same-game a parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. I was going to do my Captain Jack Sparrow impression there, parlay, but I don't feel drunk enough to do it. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. All right, we can move on to the next grouping of games. Now, that is 4 games down. We might as well move on to the 5th game. Here, we're talking about the Utah Jazz and the Atlanta Hawks. Like I said, 147 Atlanta scores. Utah is 134. So, yeah, fair to say there was a little bit of scoring going on in this game. For the Jazz, they actually rolled out the exact same starting lineup that they've been rolling out. And that was because there's still no Lauri Markkanen. These guys aren't coming back. Markkanen, Collins, Clarkson, Cody Williams. The one we don't really know about is Walker Kessler, who's dealing with a nasal fracture and concussion protocol. I don't think that he'll return. What we got was an absolute explosion from Keontae George. He had like 20 points in the first quarter, I think. He ended up with 35 and 4 with 7 threes. An unbelievably good game on really high volume, and he's going to take a lot of shots. And so for now, sure, we can do it. Colin Sexton played 37 minutes. What? 27 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. Someone I've just never been able to fully understand this season. I'll say, yeah, we look at him, and then he plays 22 minutes. And I go, okay, maybe we don't. Then he plays 35. And then the roll's all over the shop. But for now, like, it's good. I guess the Jazz were so unserious in this game. They were playing Svi Mykhailiuk and Johnny Juzang at center. Yeah. Juzang ended up with 35 minutes. He had 15 points with 5 threes. Mykhailiuk played 19 minutes for 7 points. But the guy that we'd hoped was going to be a useful guy for us, Kyle Filipowski, just didn't really play. 24 minutes, 9 and 9, steal and a block. Okay. Oscar Tshiebwe, who's actually their other center, played 0 minutes. They are not messing around. They're going, we are not playing centers. We are trying to stave off this Wizards team, which they are now 1.5 points ahead of in the tank standings, and it's going to be almost impossible for them to get caught by Washington into that spot, but they were not messing around. Collier scored well. He had good assists. He had a steal on the block. He has really stepped it up in this last week or so with a bunch of guys out. And we also had the package, Jaden Springer. All we want to do on package check, well, your package check might be different, but my package check here is, how many steals did he get? 2, bang, that's what you wanted. I guess the question now has to flip back to what do you do with Bryce Sensabaugh, who had 15 points with 3 threes? Actually, that's probably just what you want. What do you do with Kyle Filipowski? 9 and 9. Pretty stinky. I would try to hold, but the trend is not good. I would like to hold for one more. On to the Atlanta Hawks. We had a change in the Hawks starting lineup. Gay was out of the group. He was not starting. There was no more Gay in that starting lineup. They went with George Niang. Gay Muhammad, the night watchman, he got some backup center minutes, and then they said, maybe only the 10 for you, mate. You are not playing really at all. He barely played in the second half, and Gay needs, I'd say, 22 minutes to be close to even 14 team league value. He did block a shot, but why was he there? The next question is, why was George Niang starting? He played 19 minutes and had 2 threes. That's not very good. The guys that really got the step up here was Vit Krejci, who played 24 minutes, and we got another 26 minutes out of Terrence Mann. We also got 37 Onyeka Okongwu minutes. He had 27 and 12, Trey had 23 and 15, and Daniels had 19, 6, 6, and 3 steals. A lot of good stuff from those guys. Let's talk about the interesting ones. Krejci, 17 points, 5 threes, 5 assists. Let me just blanket this. It's against the Jazz. So I wouldn't get too over the top there. And I want to see 28 out of Krejci before I get interested in adding him. Ricochet, 22 minutes. Why? I know why. I know his body allegedly can't handle the rigors of playing 30 minutes, but he had 16 points. He didn't do anything else. But he just doesn't play enough. He doesn't do enough of other things for me to care. And he's just not a 12-team guy. In fact, John Armstrong.
Get that garbage out of here.
I agree. It was a very good Karis LeVert game. You got good field goals. You got good free throws. You had 21, 5, and 6. What the hell more do you want? Well, I'd like him to do it in other games. Is he a useful player? Like sometimes, can he just torpedo you? Yeah, very obviously yes. If I'm in a points league, I'm better off holding LeVert. But in a category league, it's too risky to just say, yeah, I'm in the LeVert business as an ongoing thing. Because like we know, he just doesn't do it consistently enough. And that burns you. It burns you. Let's talk about the next game. It is the Sacramento Kings up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Kings on the road win. They needed it, obviously, 120, 113. They get the victory. Are the Cavs taking things 100% seriously at this point? Not really, but that still is a game that happened. Let's talk about Sacramento. There was no Keegan Murray, so it was Trey Lyles who started, and just the casual 40 minutes for Trey. Doug Christie hates his bench. Have you ever seen anyone hate someone more than Doug Christie in his bench? 40 minutes for Trey Lyles. Jonas Valanciunas played 5. Devin Carter played 7. Bro, what are you doing? Now, Lyles did nothing. He had 7 points. He had 8 rebounds. And they play again tomorrow. So that's a pretty smart idea to overload your players. The other thing that's really interesting is he said, all right, Malik Monk, you're on our bench now. So that means you must be terrible. So you will get 20 minutes only. And that is 2 low-minute games in a row for Monk. 8 points, 7 rebounds, 13%. Man, the only reason that I wouldn't drop Malik Monk is they play tomorrow and he's already on your roster. That's it. Because these minutes are garbage. Would I react heavily here to Keon Ellis playing 40 minutes? I don't know, because he hasn't been playing those big minutes. He played like 23 out of 24 in the last one. He had 11 points. His volume is always incredibly low. But he had 3 threes. He had 4 steals. He had 2 blocks. You know what Ellis brings. But you do need 30 minutes for him to really turn into a 12-team must. Sabonis was very good. He had 27, 10, and 7, as was Levine, 37 with 7 threes. Unfortunately for Zach, we got absolutely nothing else outside of the really good field goals. DeRozan was weird again. He has so many of these. For a guy that's considered an excellent free throw guy, he has so many of these weird 71% games. This one was 75, but that hurts on 8 attempts. 6 of 8 from the line hurts. 28, 4, and 7 overall for DeMar. Yeah, the Monk one is frustrating. Again, it's only a hold because of tomorrow. Otherwise, just move on. If they're going to play him 20 minutes and believe that Alice is the answer, and after they win, I don't imagine that much is going to change. It's an interesting development there from old Douglas Christie. On the other side of things for the Cavs, what I wanted to check again, are they going to sit any of their regular rotation players? And in this one, they did not. What they did say is they want Jarrett Allen to play every game this season, so they're going to give him a lot of in-game rests. So of course they lied and he played 31 minutes. He had 17, 5, and 4. He'd played only the first half in the last one. So sometimes the competitive juices in these players and these coaches really do kick in when the game is close and, hey, we're going to lose this. Man, you're playing Jarrett. So just keep an eye on what happens here. Milk Jerome came back. He played 23 minutes. He had 20 points. That's a great game. He has been nowhere near that. He has been doing nothing like that. Do not fall into the Jerome trap. He had 20 points. He shot well. There's no guarantee of it. There's no guarantee of minutes. I do not like a 7th man playing 22 minutes to be on a standard league roster. What did DeAndre Hunter do in this situation? Hunter had, I can't even find his name. Did he not play? Have I lost my mind? No, he's right there. What am I talking about? 22 minutes, 11 points, 3 threes. Now, the only reason this game is good from Hunter is he fluked 2 steals and 2 blocks. Don't roster him. The Koala Evan Mobley had 3 steals and 3 blocks to go with 16 and 9. And Donovan Mitchell sprained his ankle, which is scary. But he returned. He played 19, 6, and 7. We'll see what it means for him going forward, but he was bad from the field and bad from the line. And Garland was just bad overall, 31%. I'll have to go back and check this, but Darius Garland was unbelievable to start the season. Then he had an injury where he fell on his hip, and very similar to the last season where he had the issue with his face. And then when he gets an injury, everything just goes. It just disappears, it feels. I'll have to double check that on his hip, but I'm pretty sure that once he had that little hip thing where he fell pretty hard, he's been terrible. Because did he come back too early? Does his body need to be actually like at 100% health? Does he need all these health bars there? What do the kids say? It needs to be health maxing to be able to put together these numbers. Maybe. That's what it feels like. Winter Soldier played 29 minutes. Max Strus, 11, 6, and 7 is useful, but I don't care. I don't care enough to trust these guys as must-trot-out players, and that is Hunter, that is Jerome, and that is Strus. The holy trinity of no thanks. Let's go on to the next game. It is the Wizards and the Celtics. This one was a pretty sizable victory here. The Wizards brought Jordan Poole back to the starting lineup, and Marcus Smart had started in his place in the last game. And you would think, going back into Boston, that Marcus Smart would get an opportunity to play against his former team. Instead, he just was getting into fights with people in the crowd, and that's all he was up to in this one. They lost 124-90. Justin Champagnie played 37 minutes. 15, 13, 2 steals. That's great. I love that. Thank you, Justin. Except, what about when he plays 21 in the next game? Colby Jones, who had a random one-game scratch early this week, had the 3 steals and a block, which is something he has been doing regularly. I don't like to trust him because we've seen him. We just get completely killed when he gets a 0. Alex Sarr, was he inefficient? Of course. But 16, 4, and 2 with 2 threes and a block. Not bad. Bub Carrington, whose last few games have been really good, didn't really deliver here. 13% shooting from 3, 14, 3, and 6. He's like, fine, it's rosterable clearly. Well, Jordan Poole had 15, and AJ Johnson played a lot of minutes. He didn't do a huge amount, but just some nice assists and some nice threes. And yeah, I would say Carrington and Poole and Sarr are 12-team league guys. I would say Champagnie is on the fringes. I would say AJ is on the fringes, and Colby Jones is a steals streamer. We also got 22 minutes out of the God of Hammers, JT Thor, who was a DNP in the last game. There was no Keyshawn George, there was no Tristan Vukcevic, and there was no Chris Middleton in this game. And then, like I said, Marcus Smart got a DNP CD. And any day now, we're going to get an update on Malcolm Brogdon. We'll get that update, I'm sure, at any point coming about that he's not playing. I'm sure it'll come. That one, or the official diagnosis from the Hornets on Trey Mann will come as well. The last update we got on the Hornets and Trey Mann, I think, was the 30th of December, and they said reevaluated in 2 weeks. TikTok, guys. We got one report from, I think it was Spencer. Is his name Spencer Percy or Perry? I think it's Spencer Percy. I don't know. Anyway, I think he's from the Hornets Buzzbeat, maybe, who said Trey Mann is allegedly getting surgery on his back. And that is actually the only ever report that we have seen on that. The Hornets, unless I am completely off on this, the Hornets have not announced a single thing about Trey Mann. Apart from he'd be reevaluated on the 30th of December. That's the only thing that I've heard. And it's just that one reporter. I don't even think old mate Booney, Rod Boone, chucked it out there about this surgery. I don't think that even happened. But anyway, Trey Mann's not coming back. Do we care? Not really. I mean, we care about Trey Mann, and he was putting up numbers at the start of the year. A completely lost season with absolutely no information given to us at all. Let's talk about the Boston side of the game. The Celtics went into we are going to sit our guys mode, which is not really a shock. Luke Cornett was able to get into the starting group. So was Al Horford, because Kristaps Porzingis sat out with an illness, and Jason Tatum was out with, what do they call it, an ankle injury. Look, these are just going to sit. Guys are just going to sit this week as they try and protect themselves for the playoffs. So Jaylen Brown's dealing with a knee problem. He played 22 minutes here. Horford played 28. Drew Holiday played 30. Derek White played 26. Pritchard played 30. This is going to be a messy week. You're going to have random Hauser games. You had 18 with 4. You're going to have Cornett having 13 and 14. He'll be a stream guy when somebody's out. You're going to have a Baylor Shireman game. You're going to have a Jordan Walsh game. Shireman had 6, 4, and 2 here. Overall, just whatever the number of games are coming up for this week for the Celtics, for your main guys, just take one away from it. They're not playing every game. It is not happening. There's not really a lot to dig into here from a fantasy perspective, because it is just going to change up so much with these guys. We keep an eye on Cornett. We keep an eye on Shireman. We got a random 8 rebound game from Torrey Craig, and 3 blocks as well, which I don't really think we need to worry about too much, but it's going to be random and it's going to be frustrating. Now we go into the next game, the Phoenix Suns and the New York Knickerbockers. Jalen Brunson was back, but that didn't stop Phoenix from making a dumb move because they started Nick Richards over Oso Ighodaro. They got cooked 112-98 in New York as the Suns continue to look like they're going to miss the playoffs, would be my guess. Let's take a look at how the league winner went. Nick Richards had 5 points in 25 minutes. He did block a shot, though, and was 100% on 2 of 2 from the field, while Ighodaro played, 23 minutes and had 8 and 3. These are just desperation streams for slightly deeper leagues. Royce O'Neal started, and he might play 32. He might play 20. This was a 20. He had 5 points. He shot 33%. Grayson Allen might play 14. He might play 30, but this one was a 22. 15 and 6 for Grayson. Can't trust any of these guys. You can't use them at all. Bradley Beal, after scoring 1 point in the last game, played 34 minutes. He had 16 points. He had 4 steals. He had 2 blocks. He took 19 shots. I think it's fairly safe to say Durant is not returning this season. So Beal is going to get opportunities here. So if he was dropped, I would be adding him. Devin Booker tried to carry as best he could. 29 shot attempts, 55%. 40 points, 2 threes. Not a lot of other sort of peripheral numbers, but he did his best with what he could do. While Gillespie's run is over. He had 18 minutes, and there are still 64% of people in using our advanced roster metric on Basketball Monster that are rostering Tyus Jones. I'm going to guess that a lot of those guys just died and forgot to give power of their teams to somebody else, because what are we doing? 5 points in 20 minutes to Tyus Jones? Or it suggests that the teams who had Tyus Jones didn't make it through this far. Jones has been bad all season. Bad all season? I'd say that's... As a general theme, yeah. Did he have some moments of being solid? Sure. But they figured out that he wasn't the answer, and he is terrible now. And please, you do not persist. Along with him, we had 34 minutes of Ryan Dunn in this game. Did he do enough for us to care? Not really. 29% shooting, 8 rebounds, 1 steal. He's a steals stream guy, and that's realistically about it. But I guess the big news here is the return of the burner Jalen Brunson. He started, of course. That meant Delon Wright went from starting and playing 33 minutes to being a DNP CD, because not only did Jalen Brunson return, but Juice McBride returned and Campaign returned all at the same time. So we'll start with Brunson, who played 34 minutes. He had 15, 2, and 6. Didn't shoot well, but got to the line 10 times. He's back. Huge W. McBride, you're obviously not rostering him. 8 points with 2 steals, nor are you doing it with Cameron Payne. We got Karl Towns having 19 and 13. OG Anunoby's, what is going on with this guy? Run continues. 32, 36 minutes, 32 points, 6 threes, 6 rebounds. Shot 77%. The big fella is a top 10 player over the last 2 weeks, and I do not understand what has gotten into him. How? What is it all about scarves? What is going on here? Why is he this good now? I cannot figure it out. He's just unstoppable. Oh, that's okay. We love it. We enjoy it. We respect OG, but man, it is pretty confusing to see. Look at every game and OG is like leading scorer on the team. And you go, sure. Thanks, mate. But how? I haven't heard really anyone froth him though. I've heard froths on Giddey. I've heard froths on Avdia. I've heard talk of insane draft positions for Dyson Daniels next season. Not a single person I've heard mention, man, I'm going to take OG in round 2 next year. Man, he's a clear top 35 guy. Haven't heard anyone talk about it. I'm not saying that I would take him there, but these other guys have had these crazy runs, and there's a lot of hyperbole thrown around. OG's not going to stick with this. It's not going to happen. He's not going to shoot like this. But no one talks about it, and it's a little bit weird. Let's do the next one now, the Pacers and the Nuggets. Both teams were missing key players, but the Pacers end up with the victory because Denver just can't seem to do anything right at the moment. What was the score? 125-120. There was no Pascal Siakam for the Pacers. They said that he's going to be day-to-day with this injury. Wouldn't be surprised if we get a day or a couple more games off here before the end of the regular season. So it was Obi Toppin who stepped into that starting lineup, and Toppin did what he does. 22 points and nothing else. He did hit 4 threes, so that's good, but 4 rebounds, no steals, no blocks, no free throws. He is a very limited player. But if you look at some points with some threes and usually some decent field goals, that's not bad if Siakam misses. We also got 21 minutes out of Jarris Walker. Hello! He had 11 and 6 with 3 threes. Ideally, when the Pacers drafted him at number 7, he would have been the guy that was playing at power forward. But he's not, and that was solid, but who cares? Honestly, it just doesn't mean that much for most fantasy leagues at this point. Finally got a good game out of Andy Nembhard. 19, 4, and 6 with 2 steals. He's been very difficult to use when they've been fully healthy, so I wouldn't I wouldn't overreact too much, but it is worth noting. No Siakam and no Ben Shepherd. So we got more out of him. Do we get more out of Ben Mathurin? Not really. He took 3 shots. 3. He did end up with 4 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, but he is not a 12-team league guy. And Aaron Nesmith had 17 and 6 with 3 steals and a block, again taking advantage of the fact that a couple of rotation players were out. On a fully healthy team, Nembhard, Mathurin, and Nesmith are not 12-team guys. Now, obviously, Mathurin wasn't here either, but he can be in those certain spots. Tyrese Halliburton was also really, really weird. I think he didn't take a shot in the first half or something close to that. Hit it with 9 points only, but had 13 assists and had a steal and a block, and he's been much better in the second half, but it's swooned a little bit here of late. And then Miles Turner had a very strong game with his 24. He had 4 threes. He had 3 blocks. He shot 50%. He would have liked for more than 2 rebounds. But the other stuff was strong. Tom Bryant sucked again because that's just what he does. If we talk about the Nuggets, because they were once again without Jamal Murray, the injury that they are officially labeling hamstring inflammation, which Michael Malone said, the doctor, of course, said, it was day-to-day, but now it's actually more than that. So he strained his hamstring. Just say it. He pulled his hammy. Why is this so hard? He is going to miss more time. They said this. Yeah, look, maybe we hope to get him back for the start of the playoffs. Oh, do ya? Yeah, because he strained his hamstring. I think the second time this season. He's done. The regular season is over. They labelled him questionable, though, like until half an hour before the game. I shouldn't be so certain on that. Well, not on the questionable tag, because that was real. I saw that. In terms of he's done for the season, for the regular season. But that's what they were saying. That's what Malone said. Yeah, maybe we hope to get him back for the playoffs. All right. Because he's injured. He's not resting. He pinged his hammy. Just say it. It wasn't Russell Westbrook that started, though. It was Jalen Pickett, who played 24 minutes and had 4 points. So we're obviously not rostering him, but we still only got 24 minutes out of Rusty. Westbrook had 16, 5, and 4. He was actually pretty good with his percentages, but they are just not going to start him. They'll start Peyton Watson. They'll start Jalen Pickett over him, and that's not enough for Westbrook. Jokic was unbelievable, 41, 15, and 13. Christian Brown was unbelievable, 30 and 8 with 4 assists. He has been so good this season. I was so wrong on him this year. Porter was really strong as well, 15, 6, and 4. But it was a stinker from Aaron Gordon, who just didn't get involved. He took 5 shots. He had 5 points. He had no defensive stats. It's been a weird season from Gordon, who's had some really bad moments, a lot of calf issues, and then some random point explosions with unbelievable shooting. Overall, he's still not going to finish the season anywhere close to a top 100 player. But it's just been a very up and down guy. And then Julian Strouder played 11 minutes here for 6 points. Watson went down to 22 minutes. He did have his 3 blocks. He's a desperation blocks streamer. But unless he is starting and playing 30 minutes, you don't want to have him as just a regular, holdable 12-team guy. He's not that player. Let's do the final 2 games of the night. The Bucks and the Pelicans. The Bucks had this one in hand, and then the Lester Quinones show took over, and it got close. The Bucks do win it in the end, 111-107. With no Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Porter Jr. started over Ryan Rollins. That has been a theme now in 2 games, so just watch. And Giannis was always likely to sit this game back-to-back against the Pelicans. But that is something that has happened twice now, so watch that with Rollins and Porter and Giannis' status. We also had Gary Trent Jr. moving into that starting group as well. So it was Trent and Porter who started, with Giannis out and Rollins moving to the bench. But it didn't really impact Rollins significantly. Ryan Rollins still played 28 minutes. He had 14, 7, and 10 with 4 steals. Now, in his last game where he started, he played like 14 minutes. It was terrible. This is a good game outside of the bad shooting. He probably is a hold, although if Giannis misses, then you're going to have to be cautious with that. And there's a pretty common pattern again that when Giannis is out, we can use Kevin Porter if you're willing to cop the bad percentages. 20 and 8, 4 assists and 2 steals is great. 44 from the field is not. And 1 of 2 from the line is not. And that is what he does. It was also another good Brook Lopez game. 20 and 12 with 4 blocks. But I will tell you this, is the next time Milwaukee plays, PED legend Bobby Portis is going to be available. It wasn't a PED. Was it a painkiller? Which they don't call it a PED. It's not a PED because it's not an enhancing drug. It's a painkiller. Anyway, Bobby Portis will be available in the next game. So, if you are really, really a big fan of Kyle Kuzma, take medication, but secondly, he is also now not going to be able to do as much because Portis is going to be there. Kuzma was 17 points, which is fine, and 61% is pretty good, but he just does nothing. No threes, 1 steal, 4 rebounds. He's just so bad. He sucks. He's terrible. You can roster him by all means. I wouldn't, but you can. But remember, Portis is back next game. The artist formerly known as the amino acid legend Dorian Prince had 3 points. Of course he did. He had 2 steals, but it was time for a big Gary Trent game. 40 minutes for Trent. That's a lot of minutes. 29 points, 4 threes, nothing else, not even a steal, and shot well. That means we're probably going to get a 4% shooting night in the next one from Trent. He's a points and threes guy with some steals chucked in, but you can never, ever, ever rely upon him. That is just the Gary Trent way. We should talk about the New Orleans Pelicans now, and we will talk about the New Orleans Pelicans now because their lineups were weird. There was no Kelly Olynyk in this game, and also no Jose Alvarado. We had Alfred Payton starting instead, as well as Antonio Reeves to go alongside Keon Brooks. We'll start with Reeves, who, with all that usage available, took advantage. He took 18 shots, which led the team. He had 23 points in 37 minutes with 5 threes and 2 steals. That's a great Antonio Reeves game. I don't think that I'm going to feel super confident in that, but if Alvarado and Olynyk remain out, no guarantee that they will. But if they do, then Olynyk was out listed for rest in this game. And Jordan Hawkins, who I just do not believe is going to play again this season with his back injury. I'd be very surprised if we get any Jordy Hawkins coming up here in any of these games. But there could be opportunities here for Reeves to be, I guess, somewhat useful. I'd be less interested in the big fella, Keon Brooks, who had 13 and 10, but that's not a bad game. And then, like I said, Lester Quinones went crazy. 25 points. I think he hit 9 points, or was it 2 threes or 3 threes at the end? Anyway, he hit a lot of threes at the end. 17 points with 4 threes with no other point guards really available, apart from the one who started and didn't score a point. That's Alfred Payton. Now, Payton did have 10 assists, and he did have a steal, but that's what he is. He's an assist guy. He gets some steals sometimes as well, but he's also completely washed and not going to be a reliable guy. I also wish that with everyone out, why won't we just play Karlo Makovic? Makovic played 19 minutes. 11 and 5 with 2 blocks in 19 minutes is unbelievably good per minute numbers. They just don't play him. So you can't play him. I think that's relatively simple. Yves Missi had 18 and 12. Pretty good game from him. And Bruce Brown was solid. 16, 4, and 9. So if you wanted to hold Missi, if you wanted to hold Brown, fine. If you want to hold Alvarado, it's very hard to hold when you won't even know if he's going to play. I wouldn't bother with that. You consider Reeves. You consider Payton for assists. But I'm not going to lean into Makovic. I'm not going to lean into Quinones here. Even Reeves, I'd probably need to hear that Alvarado and Olynyk are out before I consider him a viable option. And now we can do the final game of the night. The Houston Rockets 106 beat the Warriors 96. Dillon Brooks returned from his 1-game suspension. That meant that Steven Adams moved to the bench. Of course, he was going to do that. Adams still played. He played 17 minutes. He had his 8 boards and 2 blocks. He's been an interesting rebound and field goal percentage streamer in these games. There is always going to be the random one that he doesn't play, but he's been useful when he's out there. We didn't get big minutes from a lot of these guys. We only got 29 minutes from Dillon Brooks. He had 24 points, though. That's great. He shot 77%. We only got 29 minutes from Amen Thompson, who did have some foul trouble, but 14, 5, and 6. 3 steals and 2 blocks. Continues to be awesome. We got only 33 minutes from Şengün, 19 and 14. Not his best night, with terrible field goals and terrible free throws. And speaking of terrible, Fred VanVleet. I think he's just, should we do it? Should we play the music? Yeah, he's done. He's washed. He's looking bad. He looks terrible. 3 points in 3 steals on 13% for VanVleet. Eason, the only reason you'd hold on to Tari Eason at this point is that you're just waiting if someone gets hurt, because he played under 20 minutes. He had 4 points. He had 2 steals, but honestly, with a healthy team like this, there's not enough minutes for him. And Smith had 16 and 9, which is fine. And Jabari's been playing okay. He's been playing pretty well. You'd almost prefer Jabari over Tari Eason at this stage. I don't think that I would roster him as a 12, but in streaming, he's there, and Eason just isn't doing enough to be anything more than your second best or second worst player, and that, as you're well aware, makes him droppable. What did the Jollibee guy do? Jollibee Jalen had 21 in 34 minutes. He had 2 steals and 5 assists. That's a little bit of a bonus from Jalen Green. We move on to the Warriors side of it. They've been flying, obviously, so a little bit of a disappointing loss in the end here. Their lineup was the same. Jimmy Butler had his low-scoring performance, but contributed across the board. 13, 5, and 4, 2 steals and a block. Podziemski's hot run keeps going. He is a 12-team league guy. 19, 6, and 4 there. While Gaz Payton, 20 minutes in his second game back. 3 steals, 16 points, 2 threes. He has had some moments this season when you go, really? Gary Payton? I don't think we do anything more than stream him in deeper formats, but it's worth noting, and it was also a good Buddy Hield game. We know that we don't trust that at all, but he had 20 points with 6 threes. What it wasn't was a good Steph Curry game. 3 points on 10% shooting. He did have 8 assists. That is just an absolute stinker. Not much better, or actually much worse, was Moses Moody, who played 14 minutes for 3 points. We're not rostering Moses Moody, and Draymond also sucked. 2, 3, and 4. Also, not a good game from Kuminga, 9, 7, and 3. But we all know that we're not rostering John Kuminga, don't we? None of us are rostering John Kuminga in 12-team leagues. Surely not.
Get that garbage out of here.
Surely not. Drop John Kuminga. That'll do it. Apart from the lines of the night, which is what we're going to do right now. So your monstrous line of the night. We're going to go to Denver. Of course we are, even though they lost. Nikola Jokic just drops a casual 41, 15, and 13. That's easy stuff for him. Your waiver wire line of the night is also your young gun of the night. The best first or second year player is also the best guy available on the waiver wire. It's Toronto's own Jonathan Mogbo. 17, 11, and 7 with 2 steals and 2 blocks. If we knew Barnes was remaining out, we'd be very interested here. We don't know that, but it's sort of interesting to grab him anyway. Like I said, the young gun of the night is also Mogbo. And the dud of the night, is it Steph? Is it Draymond? No, they're not far away. But your dud of the night, and it brings me absolutely the greatest pleasure possible to tell you the dud of the night is Miles Bridges. He played under 20 minutes. He had 8 points with 4 rebounds and 2 assists. He did nothing else. He's not good enough in those. He's not good enough in those sort of minutes to be good. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say this. Bad night, low minutes. Don't drop him. But I don't know that those minutes, where they're going to go. They're going to trend back up, but they're going to be limiting him all the way through. I honestly don't know at this point. What I do know is that is the end of the show. We'll be back tomorrow with another preview show for Tuesday and a recap of the 2 games that are on Monday. I don't imagine many of you will be around for that, but if you are, I look forward to seeing you there. It's National Beer Day. Grab yourselves a beer. Hit a thumb on this video. Keep things rolling. And if you did win your championship today, absolute W from you. Congratulations, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.